Boys, what's going on? Welcome back to the channel. I'm going to break down in 10 simple minutes how you can fully align to your real identity. The mentally, the physically, how you're going to truly be your best self every single day. Because the biggest struggle I went into my journey was that I was successful in some parts of my life. I was, in decent shape, at that time in my life. I was playing college soccer, which was my dream, but internally I wasn't fully aligned. I knew I had so much more to give, and I felt like I was stuck in the same trap of the same problems, same struggles, going through the same failures over and over again, not finding a way to essentially break free. I want to break down the exact frameworks I use to essentially get over that hurdle, to really be a competent and confident self, unlock my dream body, be essentially the person I always envisioned down the road, and how I was able to do it, over, the course of time, essentially. Because this video, I want to give you the frameworks. I want you to walk away with being 1% better. That's what you have to do with anything you watch, because the biggest thing I struggled with was trying to find someone who was, essentially who I wanted to be in the future. Everything that I kind of, want to gear towards, but they weren't telling me what happened behind the scenes. How are they actually getting there? They're just showing me the end result. Essentially, the painting without the strokes. I want to break down exactly how I was able to essentially use those strokes to get the painting of becoming a confident and competent self. And it all started by mentally aligning with the frameworks. Your mentality and everything you do literally stems from, how you build it, how strong is the foundation, and how much you're willing to show up every single day. And once I was able to use those frameworks, the mental tenacity, it really changed the perspective on the direction I could go, because I always thought to myself that there's like two directions you could take. You could be okay, you could be satisfied where you are, you can be in decent shape, you could have a decent job, you can have a decent family, some things you can control and some things you can't. But there's variables in your place that you cannot control, and there's variables you could control. And at that time in my life, I could control how good of a shape it was, my perspective on life, who I wanted to become, the potential I had inside of me. Am I going to unlock it? The friends I surround myself with. Am I going to go out drinking and smoking pot every single weekend? That's going to essentially delay my timeline to the next step. That's some stuff I could control. And I knew if I can actually harness that potential, take stuff that it was in my control at the time, and be better, work myself every single day, then that's going to give me the ability to be the person I want in the future, which was, again, someone who has my dream physique, someone who's confident, all this different stuff. But it all stemmed down for me was actually showing up, actually putting the reps in. I'm not going to say you like, oh, just put the reps in, it's going to click. No, that's not what happens. If you put the reps in, that's great. But you have to improve. You have to be better than the rep you did before, because if you're always improving, if you're always taking, what you did before and making a small iteration on how you go about it, what works for you, what didn't, throwing away what didn't work, and honestly iterating every single time something that works for you, that's going to give you, growth at such a faster speed. And you guys can hear it in my voice, because I didn't have someone kind of show me the ropes. I had to figure out on my own, because I wish someone would tell me this is what you have to do. This is how you have to innovate. This is how you're going to get that result. And if I knew that potential inside me that I could unlock at such a faster speed, it would really change everything. My, where I am today, honestly, my goals, my ambitions, because I just didn't know stuff like this existed. I just thought the norm around me was to go on the weekend, enjoy the week, work hard, throw it away on the weekends, be 2 sets back, and then start the week on a bad note. That was normal to me. I didn't know personal development. I didn't know self-improvement existed. I just showed up. But until I started aligning mentally and physically about the person I wanted to become, then my habits, then my routine, then stuff actually started clicking, because I was working towards a version of me who was better, who was doing everything they needed to. And that stemmed right there from a new identity framework. I had to align myself with the person I wanted to be in the future, and then emulate those qualities today, in the moment right now. Even though I'm not that person, I have to kind of be that person today, and you put the reps in, because the reps are going to enable me to essentially get to where I want to come, which is that dream outcome, which is that person I always see myself, down the road. And if I'm willing to, again, just iterate, do the stuff over and over and over again, but make sure I'm taking the stuff that works for me and then switch it up and then apply it to myself every single day, I know that's going to enable one step for me essentially to be closer to where I wanted to be. And the biggest struggles I had was that the people around me didn't see my vision. The people around me didn't respect me. The people around me didn't, really see what I was working towards. And that really put me down. But what I had to realize was that your vision for yourself and where you want to go, only you know it. Only you know the potential you have. And there's a book that I'm reading right now, currently, Reality Transurfing, that kind of talks about these points, is how there's 4 different realities you live right now. So think of like, Danny Phantom. I know if you guys watch cartoons growing up, that version of you kind of leaves your soul, but there's 4 different variations of you right now. And each variation of you is working towards a dream outcome and it's taking, essential inputs for you to get there. Your reality is depending on which, action you take right now that is going to lead you to that reality in the future. And that's the way I kind of perceived everything. I kind of changed my perspective about unlocking this person I wanted to become, because I was doing stuff that changed the way I think. I started doing stuff that changed the way I do my days, the habits, the routines, working so much harder than I knew I essentially wasn't putting in the beginning. And once I started doing the indirect stuff, I felt like I was able to see results a little quicker. My body started shaping the way I wanted. The people around me started, giving me a little more respect because I was working my ass off, and I'm still doing that. I'm still hustling, I'm on the journey of just trying to be better. And the more I actually started to acclimate to my future self in the present day, I feel like the more growth I was able to stimulate at such a faster rate, because the people who want you to win will want you to win, but they won't want you to go better than them. And that was the biggest thing about the process, was that like, if they want you to win, they're going to help you, but to get above them, it's a totally different story. And that's why you always have to, look out for yourself first and always tailor towards your goals, your alignment, because you know how much you could do. And that really kind of showed me, because like when you start anything, you suck. I think that's pretty given. When I first started posting on social media, I was very uncomfortable on camera and I sucked. But in order for me to essentially be that person I wanted, I had to do the stuff I was extremely uncomfortable with. I had to fail a lot, because once I started failing, I could see what I have to improve. I could see what was working, what wasn't working. I could be 1% better. And that literally, I think that mental framework right there is like not looking at my failures as a failure or good or bad, but what did I do right and how can I grow on what I did right and then throw everything else that didn't work. I think that really allowed me, to really stimulate, my dream physique, of course, but I think my confidence inside of showing up every single day, not looking at it as an output-based, but an input-based result. And that really, I think allowed to stimulate so much progression, because guys, I don't want to make this video long. That's not the point. The point of this is to essentially relay is that like, your worth, what you can achieve inside. No one has to believe in you. No one has to honestly trust you. Obviously trust, like you gotta have ethics, like trust, but I'm saying like trust your vision on where you want to go. You have to be delusional optimistic. That word I hear over and over again. If you look at, I study a bunch of my mentors, it's like, be so delusional that it's going to work out. Be so delusional that everything's going to hit. And once you perceive your reality that it's going to work out, it's just a matter of time, you can't lose. The only way you lose is if you quit and you put your emotions in your decision making. Your emotions do not matter. They do not matter. Your girlfriend breaks up with you, your girlfriend, X, Y, and Z. I don't have a girlfriend at the time, but my emotions cannot dictate my decision making, because once I fall into that trap, then I'm behind the 8 ball of the work I could have essentially been done. I was wasting my time doing X. I'm not working on myself. I'm not doing the inputs I need to do. I'm not showing up every single day because my emotions are dictating what I have to do. And that was really hard. It was taking my emotions out of my decision making. But as soon as I started doing that, I became a machine. Basically, I was relying on the same frameworks every single day. And those mental frameworks, that mental tenacity of really aligning, who I need to be mentally and then physically, showing up in the gym and combining those 2 assets in my life, mental and physical frameworks, changed everything, essentially everything for me, because I was using my mental frameworks to, the longevity, sustainability, being an input instead of an output based person, align it with physical of showing up, building my body brick by brick, really getting, the confidence and just unlocking a mental state that was like any other. Everything started to change. Everything started to click, because I just knew the person I was becoming was aligning with that version of me down the road. Everything I wanted. And I'm still working towards that. But if I'm not showing up, if I'm not doing the stuff I need to be doing, then that version of me is never going to exist. That reality of myself, whereas he's somewhere over there, it's just never going to pan out. And I'm living a mental masturbation reality. That was a key thing I started, and I really did wrong most of the time, was mental masturbation. I read all this information, I do all this stuff, but I wouldn't apply action towards it. And not applying action is literally like you're not getting anywhere. You're just the same person. You're essentially just throwing your time away. Imperfect action works you towards a version of yourself, because you're actually making progress. You're actually taking, steps towards that version of you. So guys, please, the biggest thing I had to really realize on my journey was that imperfect action towards your goal is going to get you there. And you have to work to that version inside of you, and no one's going to tell you what to do. You know what you have to do. You know what you have to show up. You know the inputs you have to take. But if you're not doing it, you're only fooling yourself, and the future's only coming faster. Work on yourself. I promise you, these mental frameworks really changed my life and really allowed me to become a version of myself I never even imagined, just mentally and physically. I'm not saying financially, I'm still working, I'm still on my journey, but mentally and physically, if I can align, I know the stuff's going to hit in the future, and it's just a matter of putting the reps in. So guys, enjoy. I hope this video was helpful. I just threw my phone up because I had to share this thought, because I know this thought is going to help someone on the other side of the camera, because it really, changed the way I kind of perceive my life and the direction I want to go. So enjoy, guys. This is a Saturday around 4:15. We just got back from the gym. So get those reps in. Let's be 1% better, and let's put in that work.